video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a flipped lesson using Educreations and Blendspace. First of all, there's lots of different platforms or apps that you can use for this. I use Educreations. There's probably others. I know that there's other ways you can get this to your students as well besides Blendspace, Google Classroom, or things like that. But I'm just going to use the ones that I use in my classroom, and hopefully it'll help you out. The other thing is time. You might think it takes a long time and extra work to create a flipped lesson, but really, I usually make about an 8 to 10 minute video that might, say, go over the independent practice so kids can check over it. And then later it'll be like a type of resource they can use to go back to if they want. And for like an 8 to 10 minute video that goes over like 8 to 10 problems, usually takes me about 20 minutes to make it. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time. 10 of the minutes are the actual video, and there's a little bit of prep work as well. But it doesn't take too long, and I think that you'll find that once you get the hang of it, you can do it pretty quickly. So, okay, let's start with this flipped video, or this flipped lesson. I'm going to be doing a maintenance practice lesson, just a real quick problem using Educreations and then using Blendspace. All right, so first of all, we're going to use the Educreations app. I start with the iPad, and I create the video on the iPad through Educreations. Then I'll go to the computer on Google Chrome, and I'll use that. That's how we'll place it into Blendspace. I just find it easier to use the Educreations app because you can draw with your finger and whatnot, and it's a little bit easier to use. So we'll open up Educreations. Actually, sorry, let me back up. Before you do that, what you'll want to do is you'll want to go to your Google Drive, and you're going to find the document you want to. What I do is I go to the document that I want to open. Let's say I'm going to do this maintenance lesson, so I'm going to go to my slideshow, and I'm going to go to the maintenance problem that I'm going to use, and that would be this one right here. And so what I'm going to do for whatever problems I'm going to use, whether it's a Google Doc or whether it's this Google slide, I'm going to take a screenshot using the power button and the home button. You push them at the same time, you take a screenshot, which is that. So I take a screenshot of whatever I'm going to be using. Okay. Sometimes I'll need to go into my photos. I'll go into photos and I will actually crop the image so that it's so it'll be what I want. So that's what I've done with some of these. Like I went to edit, and then I cropped this image so that it was just what I wanted. So you might have to do that. That takes a little more time. But on this one, I'm not going to worry about that. I don't need to crop it. I'm just going to go, once I have the screenshots of all the different things I'm going to go over in the lesson, then I can go to Educreations. So now I'll open up the Educreations app. Okay, and these are some of the lessons that I've done previously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the plus button up here. I'm going to add a new lesson, and it just pops up with a screen that looks like this. And so all I'm going to do is set up however many slides you want to have in your lesson. I'm going to create all of those first before I start recording my lesson. So this button right here, the plus sign, you'll click on that. That's how you add. You can add text, you can add pictures, you can add other things as well if you have a paid version of Educreations. But all I need to worry about is the picture. So I click on this icon and it brings up my camera roll. So I'm going to find whichever, and it's this image right here, the last one I took. And it just pops it up. I'll lock it in place. And now this is actually the only one I'm going to use for this lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and just start my recording. So once you can add extra slides if you want to, and I don't need to do that for this one. But once you have all your slides ready, now you can actually annotate on here, and you can do whatever you want to do to show the kids what you want them to see on the lesson. When you're ready to do that, you're going to start with this microphone button. You're going to click the microphone and you're going to start your lesson. So I'd say, okay guys, this is our maintenance practice for today. We're going to do this problem together. And I'm going to read it to you first. It says, in the morning, Linda drove to the store and used 9 2/3 gallons of gas. In the afternoon, she drove to the movie theater. And so I would do that, and I would actually do the whole problem, and I would write my problem on here, and I would annotate all that. I'm not going to do all that now, but that's what I would do. And when I'm done, I would pause it, And I could pause as many times as I want and keep going. Sometimes I do that. I usually add little fun things in there. I'll add like a joke in there or something, or I'll do like a funny picture just to keep them a little more interested. But anyway, when you're ready to actually save your lesson, you'll click on this button right here. It's like a little square, rectangle with an arrow pointing left. You click on that, and it gives you the option to either save draft. That's if you want to save it and come back later and work on it some more, or save finished video. So I'll click on save finished video. And it'll pop up. It'll let me title the lesson. So I'm just gonna, you'll type in what you want it to be. I'll just type in flipped example. Okay, and then you'll save it, and it'll bring you to this screen that has all your lessons. You'll see this little arrow. When that arrow goes away, that means it's uploaded and it's ready to go. So at this point, you're done with the iPad. You just create the video on the iPad, and then you don't need to use the iPad anymore. So next, I'll show you what I do on the computer to put this lesson into Blendspace, okay? Okay, so now I'm ready to, on my computer on Google Chrome, I'm ready to take the lesson from Educreations and put it into Blendspace. So first I start with Blendspace. I have a tab with Blendspace and I have a tab with Educreations. So in Blendspace, once you log in and everything, I'll just click New Lesson and where I want that to go. And I'm going to title this flipped example, just like I did before. So you'll name your lesson. You might call it maintenance with the date or whatever. This is just going to be flipped example. And then so in these boxes, I'll come in and I'm going to click the add text button, and it'll pop up where I can type in some text. A lot of times in the first box, I'll put instructions for the students. But for this lesson, I'm just going to show you how to put the video in. So once you have this ready to go, I'm going to go to Educreations. So my other tab was Educreations. I'm going to log into Educreations. And Educreations is great. You have a free, there's a free version of it that works really well. Usually the last video you did will be the first one. So here's my lesson that I just made on the iPad, and it shows up on my computer on the Educreations website. So I'll click on the one that I want, and it'll come up and it'll start playing it. So you don't need to watch the whole thing. You can just pause it. But you'll scroll down a little bit, and then right down here you'll see where it says share. Okay, and I'm going to click on the share button, and there's two options for sharing it. One is a permalink and a copy. So the permalink, you can actually put that into Blendspace. I found that it doesn't work all the time. You could probably put that into Google Classroom sometimes, or just it has the link to the video. I use the embed version, the embed option. So where it says embed, I'm going to click copy. So I have that code for embedding it. Then I'm going to go back to my Blendspace tab, and so now where I can normally type text, if I click this button right here that says source, that will bring up the place where I can embed it. So once I click on source, I'm going to go ahead and paste the code that I just copied. I'm going to paste it in, and it just looks like a bunch of numbers and letters. It's just code. You can't really tell what it is. But once you hit done, then it'll show up with your video. So here's my video that I just made. So when the students click on it, and what they'll see, this is what they'll see. I usually put instructions on here that it'll say double click on the video to make it full screen, because when the students can double click on it and it'll go full screen for them, and that's how they watch it. And then they can hit escape to get out. And then you might have other things within your Blendspace as well. Like I said, normally I'll have like instructions, I'll have the video, and then I might have the next box that'll have a link to the exit ticket or whatever I want them to do. You might have multiple videos there, whatever you want. But basically, this is what you do to take it from Educreations and put it into Blendspace. All right? Hope this helps.